Today promises to be a lot of fun. It's pouring rain. It's supposed to rain all day tomorrow and rain all day the day after that. So I'm trying to plan around a lot of little things that I want to do, but painting is not going to be one of them, unfortunately. And I always seem to leapfrog my way into finding something useful to do. Well, today will put me to the test. Now, yesterday we did some cleanup and polishing and desalting and just a lot of laying on your back on a cold floor. And that's why I have rugs on the floor, because I don't have a heated garage. Jay Leno didn't leave me in his will. But anyway, we did get one of the bikes cleaned up. Actually, we got the RD cleaned up too. And I like to do that kind of a cleanup even if I don't ride the bikes over the winter at least once or twice, because you get this little fuzz that grows on the aluminum from the moisture in the garage, and that flits, and the polish that we put on seems to protect it pretty well. And then come springtime, I don't want to have to do an all-day cleanup before I ride the bike. So that was a good thing yesterday. This guy's he's ready. Actually, he's ready for another ride. If he had pontoons or something, we could go out riding today. I just think of that salt though. If you knew how it made me sick to pull all that salt off the bike. And I looked back at that video while I was having my coffee. The tires were white. It was like I was riding on white paint. Disgusting. Anyway, but another thing I got to do today, I got to clean all the microfibers. Every so often I have a whole laundry bag full of microfibers to do, and you always have to wash microfibers separately. Don't put them in with your wife's underwear. You'll be very disappointed. But I actually do always look forward to a day when I know it's going to rain for a couple days and the weather's going to be a no painting day. There's always something to do in my little collection of evil here. And there's always something to polish. There's always something to... And I've got a couple other little parts here I'm going to look at today. And I'm really saving a tank for the very end. And the reason is very simple. I don't want to have the tank empty and down the cellar for a month. I want to take it off the bike, strip it, paint it, let the clear dry, buff it, and put it back on a tank, fill it with gas, and start the engine again. So I'm you might be wondering why I'm saving that tank to the end. I know people that have taken a tank out and let it sit in the cellar all winter, it always rusts, because you can't keep gas in it, of course. Well, every morning it's been the same. Rain, you look at the weather, it predicts rain all day, and there's not much I can do about it. So in this rainy weather, the fish love it. They always stay underwater so they don't get wet. It is still plenty cold out there. I never realized how cold it is out there until I come into the house and get the coffee warmed up. Hey, where's your friends this morning? You don't want to keep me company? Oh, they're all out in a tree over there. They hide in that bush. Oh my God, they're all over. They're all coming out there now. There's so many of them this morning. They wait. They wait for me to put the seeds out. This is where they hide in that tree. So I was just explaining in the garage. It's time to do microfibers. Now, once I do a big cleanup on a couple of the bikes, there's always a bunch of them. I just keep putting them in, I have a shelf here. And then when I get about 100 or 120 or so, I try to get a separate load. Now, I learned a good trick about doing this. What I do a load with hot water and the normal amount of detergent. And then I have, since I'm a well-trained laundry person, since Karen has me well-trained, I put the setting on hot and on heavy duty. See, I'm really trained. I was in the military. Then I do a load. And now when that comes out, I'll run that with one thing of Simple Green, one thing of laundry detergent. Then just run a load with run it again with no soap. And that gets out the smell and all the extra, because you don't want your underwear smelling like Simple Green, that's for sure. Or especially your wife's underwear. And then it's time for the dryer. And then it's time to polish motorcycles for another well, couple of months. Now, if we did have a paintable day, I would like to get that wheel sanded and recoated with the extra little flake in the clear. But that's not going to happen today. But one of the things I can do, I can see if the paint on the front wheel is ready to start buffing. So to do the test, I need to have some 2000 Indasa and some 4CR 8065. Now before I can do anything, I've got to test that the paint itself is ready. And the only way I can do that is I can pick a spot. I got 2000 grit Indasa, flatten it out. Since basically the whole wheel has to be done by hand, this is almost like a model airplane where there's almost no spot. There may be a spot up here or somewhere, but for all purposes, this is going to be a couple of days of hand buffing, maybe 3 days. I don't know. I don't know how much I can get done today, because every day we have these unpredictable things happening. But the easiest way I know is, now this is 3-4 days old, I'm not sure, but you always have to do a test. And the test is if the sandpaper comes out clean, once the part is flat. And this is the kind of thing, if you don't do it now, once you put the bike together and you say, gee, I could have spent a little extra time and done it. And this really, on the FZR, this made all the difference in the world. It was really worth doing. A couple of days, 2 or 3 days a wheel, it didn't even matter in the end when it's done. So let me show that up as I always do, one in real time, and then there's no way to make this easy or quick. It's a labor of love. You may as well just get used to taking your time, doing one piece at a time. But in the end, I know you'll be glad you did it. I'm not sure you can see the surface, but you can see it's flat. Now that's going to allow me right now, I'm going to go get the 4CR and a clean microfiber. In fact, I got to wait. In fact, I may as well do some more. I'm waiting for the laundry to be done. How cool. Anyway, I'll do more of the wheel. Normally I would just test this part right away, but I don't have any microfibers. They're all in the basically in the laundry. Now there's always a lot of things in my life that I really have lusted for. When I was younger, I lusted for very shiny, award-winning model airplanes, and I was able to get quite a few of them. And as I've gotten older, I've lusted for some very special custom type of motorcycles that fit my personal need. And one of the parts of doing these is not to make them radical or unrideable, but just make them as shiny and well finished as I possibly can, with a lot of attention to detail. And I guess I'm looking at this paint now, the way it's coming off. The sandpaper is clean as a whistle. I think we're actually ready to do, probably the next 2 or 3 days we'll get this wheel done, because pretty much the weatherman is not being our friend today. The birds are our friend, the microfibers are our friend, but not the weatherman. And usually this time of year we get snowed in, and then I don't care if it takes a week to buff a wheel. The thing I always remember about everything that's a lot of labor, if it was easy, everybody'd have this. Everybody'd have uncompromised paintwork on their bike. Well, the truth is it's not that easy. But in my case, it's something I enjoy. And if you didn't enjoy this, well, there's no point. I mean, it's just really counterproductive. But I really like to make the paint. The paint is the reason for doing this work, and I like to have it that when we're somewhere where the people are looking at motorcycles and they see my bike, they know I paid the price. In modeling, we always had a saying that it's to see how serious you really are, and you try to up the envelope of how serious you were, endlessly, of course. And in the end, I'm not sure it proved anything, but we had a lot of very serious people in modeling, that's for sure. Anyway, and I was probably one of them. Now I've got one hole, it's this band right here. The whole thing flat sanded, 2000 grit Indasa. And a thing that this is really time consuming. Doing a wheel is really a super time consuming thing, but it really is the final touch. To me, this is the cherry on the sundae. Now, I know younger people always have a problem with, they need the reward instantly. They need instant gratification. Well, good thing about being old, I don't need instant gratification. I could work on a project for 6-8 months, knowing that at the end of 8 months I have something special. Doesn't bother me at all. Maybe that's one of the advantages of being old, I don't know. So the next thing, I'm still waiting for my microfibers. They're in the laundry. I'm going to do this band here, being very careful I don't take the mountaintop off here. Now, the rim, divide this in 3. 1, 2, 3. When these 3 are sanded and flat sanded, Then I'll do my test with the 4CR, and if the paint is slow coming up, I'll let it dry for another day. There's no if I didn't put all the microfibers in the in the laundry, I could do it right now. It won't matter. This has got to be done anyway, and no matter what, it's got to be done by hand. So unless you find me a little mouse and we can put microfibers on his feet or something. And usually when you get to this point in the project, you can see daylight at the end of the tunnel or a headlight coming at you or whatever, and the project even gets more exciting. Now I do realize a lot of this is on the macro lens, and this is not a real good macro lens camera, but let me see if I can just show what I'm looking for now. I'm looking for little shiny spots, and they're usually the size of pinheads, but I want to, before I move on to the next, here's one right here. Right there, if you can see it. Because once you sand these out, then, and that part is perfectly flat, the buffing is a lot easier. Now doing this part here, believe it or not, these two are easy. This is hard because I don't want to go through. So I'm going to be very careful, do it very slowly, and then by then my laundry should be done. I mean, those microfibers sit in a dryer for an hour. I don't know why they take so long to dry, but anyway, once this side is done, I will start the buffing test. If the paint comes up quickly, and I always like to show that in real time, if it comes up quickly, well, easy. We finish the buffing and then move on to the other side. But it's impossible. It wouldn't even be worth thinking about getting the whole wheel done in one session, because what happens is your arm gets tired. So I usually work until, like you would go to a gym, and when you're tired, then you go do something else, something really important, like drink coffee or fold microfibers. Now, I thought I'd share some, while I have to do this, share some really good microfiber information. This is something that I was unaware of, and when I became aware of it, it made my life a lot easier. Microwave, did you believe this? I gotta stop drinking, that's all there is to it. Microfibers come in many grades, and what happens is, what I found was, a couple of years ago, I had done a little repair on Dale's RZ for his tank. He graciously donated a sack of these, and here they are. We're still using them. They're very good quality from BJ's Kirkland microfibers. Let me make sure I'm not lying, that they didn't come from Microtex. They're Kirkland. They're from BJ. Not BJ. Yeah, BJ's. Boy, what a morning I'm having. I gotta stop doing drugs. So here's the thing. I try to, when I take these out of the laundry, I'd say there's probably 80, 100 of them. It doesn't matter. That I try to separate the relatively nice clean ones, and when I mean clean, this is a dirty one. These will go out in the garage for when we wipe off the chain and wipe off the salt and what. But I'll kind of do a sort on this. Now I do it by quality too, because the real good yellow ones, they are good quality, and they seem to wash a lot nicer. The ones that are yellow and green, these are a lower quality. I have no idea where they're from. And then there's the ultimate low quality ones, and I mean low quality, the ones that come from Harbor Freight. They're underwear. I mean, they're really, and Karen uses those upstairs to clean pots and stuff or whatever she does with them. But anyway, here's something I found out with microfibers. They come in all different grades and qualities, basically by how thick they are. Now, just let me show this. I always like to plan ahead of time now that I'm an alcoholic. If you can see how fuzzy this is like the inside of a sheep or the outside of a sheep. So I save this for the final buffing. I don't use this, I don't put compound on it or wax. When I'm done with everything, then I'd go over it with this. That's what the real, and those are about, I think, about $10 a piece in AutoZone. So here's the thing. When I get to these, I want to have ones that I'm going to use in the shop, which are going to be these yellow ones. And when I'm going to do something dirty and that I don't care if I got to wipe the salt off the back wheel or something, I could use these relatively low quality ones. It would be crazy to use a $10 microfiber to clean a chain. Now, when I go to clean these, here's what happens. I found out the hard way. I used to just do a separate load of laundry, and they never really came clean. And I'd go, I'm wiping it, it's leaving a little, but putting that simple green in and then running a separate cycle with no soap or with just laundry soap, and it just changes everything. And that is good information. Now, when I come across one like this, the next time I'm going to polish, you know, the bottom of an oil pan or something, this would be good. But I'll sort these out. No point making a 25-minute video here. I think people get the idea. And the idea is just to give you the idea. The microfibers are all not created equally. There's thin ones, thick ones, and then there's those real fluffy ones. And there's a way to rate them. You can go on YouTube and find out there's numbers, and you know, you can do like a research thing on. I'm not much for rocket science information that I can't put to use right away. If I can't use that information, I want to know the information I can use. I want to be able to make oh, here we go. Kirkland, there you go. I didn't like Dale. We're still using them. And the next time you need a microfiber, they're just as good as new. But you never want to wash microfibers in with any other thing. They make a separate load, and I spend the time. By the way, this is a good break from sanding or buffing or something where your arm gets tired. And I've noticed as the years have gone by, years ago when I was doing model airplanes, I could go for 8 hours. Can't do that anymore. Not happening. So I kind of pick my poison. I try to separate a big job into several little jobs. But the microfibers, if you truly, here's one of the real crappy ones. These are the ones from Harbor Freight. They're great for cleaning oil pans, or when you change an oil filter to wipe the oil filter off or something. But I think that's good information that really is worth knowing. And as soon as I finish this, we're going to get back to that and test the 4CR and see if that paint's ready to buff. And this is the product that we like to do the polishing, the buffing with. This and a relatively nice clean right out of the laundry microfiber. Anyway, again, I will thank Dale for that generous contribution. We're still using them, and that's a good test to put them to. And when you want to have that quality of paint, I don't know any way you can do it without a good supply of microfibers and a good supply of 8065. So another thing is, because we know we're going to have to do this by hand, and we know we're going to have to pace this job out. We're definitely not going to get it done in one day. That's daydreaming. Maybe even when I was younger that would be a thought, but not right now. So I'm going to pick one. Here's the thing. To divide a big job up into a lot of little jobs. Make like a checkerboard out of it. So this is a part, this is a part, this is a part, a part. Then the rim, the rim, the rim, the edge, the edge. If you just take a rag and just start doing this, you'll just be frustrated. So I try to pick one spot that I know this will be a relatively easy one to do. This is a flat, and I know I'm not going to be doing this in. Normally I would be looking in a mirror and watching myself go for a ride on a GS or something, or whatever. But it just takes time. Now I want to do one of these in real time, but we have. If I divided this up into a checkerboard. And by the way, I never found an advantage to doing this. You just get tired quicker. It's kind of like you have to pace yourself depending on what your arm strength is. My arms are nowhere near what they were years ago, and I try to pace myself accordingly. So, but I know I've got X amount of hours a day that I can use efficiently. I try to use them, but I don't try to put myself in, in a hospital ward trying to be Mr. Tough Guy, because basically I'm not tough. And I wasn't that tough to begin with, and I didn't get any tougher as I got older and more like a jellyfish. So anyway, I will show one of these up close, personal. This will be never going to underestimate how much time it takes to do this, but when it's done, I guarantee there'll be a springtime day. And see, this is what I think what young people have, people that are used to instant gratification have. They used to, and they can't envision what this is going to be like a month from now, when the weather changes, 2 months from now, and they'll just be out in the driveway taking pictures, and this thing will be flawless. It'll be a piece of rolling artwork. And I've often heard choppers called rolling artwork. Well, this is not going to be that kind of artwork. This is going to be the kind of artwork you get on and ride the hell out of it. And we have done that in the past. we have put that radar detector to the test. Now, I'm only taking this because I want to show this in real time. Okay, now no camera cuts. Let me see if I can't pick the wheel up, but let me just do this so the wheel doesn't spin. You don't think I'm trying to pull some kind of fancy thing here. Let me get the camera off the tripod. Usually pretty easy. Easy peasy. Real time. And now you look at that finish. And at some point in time, I have the vision to note it, that whole wheel, it'll be like a diamond. Every facet, every angle, every part. I'll just divide it up into more and more pieces until every piece is like that, no matter how long it takes. I'm doing it as if time didn't exist. Now, there's no point belaboring it. I'm going to finish that rim. There's not much going to change. I'm going to do the segments, do the edges, and having one, I'll call it the hoop part of the rim. Once that's done, then I'll take one spoke at a time. Do one spoke, one spoke, one spoke, and then, or do the hub, but dividing it up into pieces, not trying to just work all around. And that's the only way I know that you'll ever get it done. And we are actually at the point where we have one side of the rim done, and Karen would like to go out for her vegetables this morning. We try to buy fresh vegetables every other day or so. Oh, that's coming out nice. That's a good time for a break. And before we head out, I'm sure another cup of coffee will make the day go quicker. That's hard work doing that buffing. My arm's already tired. So what kind of homemade soup are we having for lunch today? That looks like pumpkin soup?
Pumpkin soup.
Pumpkin soup. Ooh. Homemade from scratch. I think one of Karen's goals here, since we go to buy vegetables every other day, and sometime every day, she's going to turn me into a turnip or something. But we are having homemade soup every day, and we are having healthy food. And to be honest with the vegetables, I never felt better. Thank you, Karen. Plus for me, it breaks up the day a little bit. That right now my arm is tired. I could use a little rest. Like a pitcher. The pitch count was high today. And there's nothing like being back home to the 80-65. Time to see if we can get more of that wheel done. What a crappy day. It looks like, oh, it isn't raining now, but it looks like it's going to rain any minute. Glad I got all that painting done when I did. The next part of this, with the hoop part of the wheel done, is just to get the hub done. And this is just going to be, once again, try to get the whole thing flat if possible. Buff it by hand. I'm going to try to work on this one side of the wheel at a time if possible. And sometimes you start out and you think this is going to be an easy way to do it, and then you find a better way, or in some cases you don't find anything. But it's all just hand labor. And it's always good to, when you resign yourself to the fact this is not going to be a 15-minute job, and it's just not like a video game where you push the button and out comes a potato chip. This is something, it's what I think of as old school, an old school set of values where you had a plan, you work, and you had to build a barn, or things were long term. It wasn't you just woke up in the morning and pushed the button and out comes a gefilte fish sandwich. So I don't know, but I know even my grandson Miles, love him as I do, he's used to pushing the button. Maybe he's right. I always hate to think of the possibility that I'm wrong and they're right, but it's definitely true. Anyway, this is now, as I have to work now, and how long until my arm is really getting into Bengayville. And then once it does, I usually put up some biofreeze and go an extra hour. And then probably tomorrow, I'll be sorry I did it. But I'll be glad I have the wheel. And as I'm doing wheels, every wheel I do, I realize there's one thing they all have in common. It's a labor of love. It just goes on forever, and it just never ceases to entertain me. And I love going out to that garage in the morning and looking at those hand buffed out FZR wheels from last year. I'm so glad I did that and didn't take some kind of shortcut dipping them in a batch of powder coating or something. There's no powder coating I've ever seen in my life that even comes close to a hand buffed out paint job. And I'm not prejudiced. So the next step on this is going to be the spokes, and all these little radiuses and areas here among the spokes. I want to get this, well, detailing this out is just time consuming. And I've set a goal that I'd like to, by the end of the day, have one side of the wheel done. Maybe that's unrealistic. You never know. I don't know what the pitch count's going to be an hour from now, so I do what I can. I'll probably by the end of this day have roughly half of this wet sanded out. When you're sanding with 2000 grit, it gets a little time consuming because it's fine sandpaper, but in the end, there's a part of it that's very rewarding, knowing that as you come down the home stretch, the buffing, when you start doing the buffing on the spokes and things, wow, it doesn't take long and you see results. It's like that Marie Osmond commercial, results. I'm watching too much TV lately. Actually, I think the problem is too many vegetables. I need some pepperoni in my diet. I'll have to get Luciano to get me some pepperoni. Anyway, with the spokes, now I want to get the buffing. See if I can get the spokes and this hub buffed. And see how long my armlet hangs out. But getting half of this done would be wonderful. And basically we're just using up a rainy day anyway. Now whenever I have a job like this where I know there's really no way to get a buffing wheel in here, any kind of machine that I could reasonably do. And by the way, what I have tried to do in the past, tried to make little buffing wheels that got in corners and edges and angles, and what happens is the one time you slip with using a Dremel tool or a drill, it's wow. You just go back to the reset button. It's like you don't pass go and you don't collect. In fact, sometimes you put a gouge in a part, you got to repaint it. So anyway, this is just the thing that I've resigned myself to. If I get half of this done, that's a realistic goal, by the way, for somebody that's a very happy senior citizen, to get those spokes where they're a little bit shiny. Now this part of the job, very, very rewarding. And as every part of it starts to have that glow, that deep, I don't know what you would even call it. It has a different look than unbuffed out paint. It just does. There's no other way to say it. It reflects the light, and to people that know about paint, they know that's a quality job. I got one side done. One side's still full of soapy water, but I really feel like as this day is coming to a crashing end, wow, little by little, I've got that glow, that paint just draws you in. Anyway, for people that appreciate good quality paint, they'll appreciate it. If you don't, nobody's going to hate you. And same way, if you don't want to eat your vegetables, we will hate you. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and we have another day of buffing to do tomorrow. Thanks for watching.